A promising young Spanish cyclist is fighting for his life after a devastating training accident. 23-year-old Guardeno was airlifted to intensive care following a collision with a car during a routine training session. The crash occurred just 1 week after his participation in the prestigious Tour of Catalonia, where the young athlete had been building momentum in his professional cycling career. Guardeno suffered severe head injuries in the impact and required emergency helicopter transport to receive critical care. The incident highlights the ongoing dangers faced by professional cyclists who must share roads with vehicle traffic during training sessions. Spain has seen several high-profile cycling accidents in recent years, raising questions about road safety protocols for professional athletes. Cycling federations across Europe have been pushing for enhanced protection measures and dedicated training routes. The cycling community is rallying around Guardeno as medical teams work around the clock to stabilize his condition and assess the full extent of his injuries. A British funeral director has pleaded guilty to 30 shocking counts of preventing lawful burial after keeping bodies for months. Robert Bush, who operated Legacy Independent Funeral Directors in Hull, admitted to the disturbing charges in court proceedings that have sent shockwaves through the community. The case involves families who trusted Bush with their loved ones, only to discover bodies had been stored improperly for extended periods rather than receiving proper burial services. Bush's funeral home was supposed to provide dignified final arrangements, but instead left grieving families in limbo while their relatives remained unburied. The scandal has prompted investigations into funeral industry regulations across the United Kingdom, with authorities examining oversight procedures that failed to catch the violations earlier. Hull residents expressed outrage and betrayal over the breach of trust during one of life's most vulnerable moments. The case highlights broader concerns about funeral industry standards and the need for stronger regulatory frameworks to protect grieving families. Bush now faces significant prison time as the court prepares for sentencing in the coming weeks. A powerful new book reveals how ordinary people navigated daily life under Nazi rule in Berlin during World War II. Historian Ian Baruma's Stay Alive chronicles the experiences of regular Berliners, including his own father, as they made impossible choices under totalitarian control. The work examines how normal citizens adapted to increasingly oppressive conditions, showing the gradual process by which people accommodate authoritarian systems. Baruma draws from personal family history and extensive research to illustrate how survival often meant compromise and moral ambiguity. The book demonstrates how quickly democratic norms can erode when people simply go along with incremental changes rather than resisting early warning signs. These historical lessons carry particular relevance in today's political climate, as democracies worldwide face rising authoritarianism and polarization. Baruma's research reveals that most Berliners were neither heroes nor villains, but ordinary people trying to survive extraordinary circumstances. The work serves as both historical documentation and contemporary warning about the fragility of democratic institutions when citizens become passive observers rather than active participants in governance. Britain is spearheading a 40-nation coalition to address the growing crisis in the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical oil shipping lane. Prime Minister Keir Starmer emphasized the urgent need for non-military solutions as the coalition prepares for emergency meetings to tackle mounting gridlock in the strategic waterway. The Strait of Hormuz handles approximately 20% of global oil shipments, making any disruption a threat to worldwide energy markets and economic stability. Recent tensions have created dangerous bottlenecks that could trigger supply shortages and price spikes across multiple industries. Starmer's diplomatic approach contrasts with more aggressive military postures suggested by other world leaders, reflecting Britain's preference for multilateral negotiation over confrontation. The coalition includes major shipping nations, oil producers, and strategic allies who recognize the waterway's critical importance to global commerce. International maritime law and freedom of navigation principles are at stake as the crisis deepens. The upcoming coalition meetings will determine whether diplomatic pressure can resolve the situation before it escalates into broader regional conflict that could destabilize energy markets worldwide. Pakistan is refusing to abandon its mediation efforts between Iran and the United States despite escalating threats and diplomatic obstacles. Islamabad's commitment to peace talks comes even after President Trump threatened to bomb Iran back to the Stone Ages, dramatically raising regional tensions. Pakistani officials emphasized their determination to continue serving as intermediaries between the longtime adversaries, viewing dialogue as the only path to preventing military conflict. The mediation efforts face significant challenges as both Washington and Tehran have hardened their positions on key issues, including nuclear policy and regional influence. Pakistan's strategic location and diplomatic relationships with both nations position it uniquely to facilitate communication during this critical period. Previous Pakistani mediation attempts have shown mixed results, but officials believe persistent diplomatic engagement remains essential to regional stability. The latest round of threats has created additional urgency around Pakistan's peace efforts, as military escalation could destabilize the entire Middle East region. Pakistan's foreign ministry indicated that despite current obstacles, they will maintain communication channels and continue pushing for negotiated solutions rather than military confrontation that could affect millions across the region.